Hello and welcome to Edison TV's Executive Interview Series. My name is Rachel Carroll. I'm President and Managing Partner of Edison Inc. And I'm delighted to be joined today by Silence Therapeutics, a UK-listed company that is channeling gene silencing to cure life-threatening illnesses. The company recently announced another major deal, this time with AstraZeneca. And here to talk about that today is Rob Quinn, the Chief Financial Officer of Silence Therapeutics, and John Strafford, the Head of Business Development. So Rob, perhaps you could begin by giving us a little bit of background to Silence Therapeutics and the technology that you're developing, please.
So Silence Therapeutics is a leader in the field of silencing RNA. We develop drugs that can transiently reduce the expression of disease-causing proteins. And we do that by knocking down the level of messenger RNA. We are pioneers in this space. We have proprietary technology that can rapidly and robustly knock down the genes that we're trying to target. We're based in London. We're listed on the AIM Stock Exchange, and we have research and development operations in Berlin, where about 30 of our staff are based. Over the last 9 months or so, we have been really externally validated through 3 business development deals. Last summer, we signed a large deal with Mallinckrodt Pharmaceuticals. We signed a smaller deal with Takeda in January of this year. And then just in late March, we announced a transformational deal with AstraZeneca, including over $80 million in upfront payments.
It's certainly been an incredibly busy and successful 12 months for the company. So this most recent deal with AstraZeneca, John, perhaps you can talk to us a little bit more about this collaboration and how it compares with the previous 2 deals signed in the last 12 months.
Yes, of course. Yeah. So clearly, this is a very broad collaboration with AstraZeneca. We anticipate starting work on 5 targets within the first few years of the collaboration, and then with the option to extend that to a further 5, so potentially 10 in total over a long period of time. This is also over 2 main therapeutic areas for AstraZeneca, so cardiovascular, renal and metabolic disease, and also respiratory diseases. So that involves delivery of our molecules to other tissue types other than the liver. And we'll be working collaboratively with AstraZeneca to achieve that. In terms of our responsibilities through the collaboration, so we will be responsible for designing the siRNA molecules and for optimizing those molecules. In terms of preclinical work and clinical development, AstraZeneca will lead that and the commercialization of the molecules coming out of the collaboration. But we will retain responsibility for manufacture. And we'll supply material for the preclinical studies and also the phase 1 clinical development. We do have in there, we have the option to negotiate for co-development rights for up to 2 of the programs coming out of the collaboration. So that should give us a chance to be more involved further down the line, and we'll negotiate that during phase 1 development.
Excellent, thank you. So Rob, perhaps you could summarize the financials of the AstraZeneca deal for us, please.
Yeah, so $60 million in upfront cash and a $20 million equity investment. For $20 million, AstraZeneca bought about 5% of Silence's equity. For each of those targets, and remember this is a multi-target deal, a $10 million option fee upon the point of candidate nomination, $140 million in development milestones, and up to $250 million in commercialization milestones. And again, that is for all of those targets. And then upon net sales, we would get a high single-digit to low double-digit royalty.
So this is not the first time that AstraZeneca has invested in Silence Therapeutics. Could you talk a little bit more about the history of the relationship?
Yeah, sure. So back in 2007, AstraZeneca embarked on a collaboration with Silence, exploring siRNA in different target diseases. At that time, they also bought about a 5% equity stake, and actually had held that stake right to this day. So the siRNA technology was very much in its early forms back then, and has advanced significantly over the last decade or so. And I think a lot of the early players who came into siRNA left the field. A lot of big pharma left the field back in the early noughties. AstraZeneca were one of those. But I think over the last couple of years, you've seen Well, one, some of our competitors actually having GalNAc siRNA products brought to market. So Alnylam had the first GalNAc siRNA approved in 2019. You've also seen significant business development activity across the space, and you saw the acquisition of the medicines company by Novartis for close to $10 billion. So I think all of that has really kind of sparked the renewed interest by big pharma in siRNA, and that's one of the reasons why AstraZeneca came back to invest in us after that initial investment over 10 years ago.
So, John, the deal also includes plans to explore extrahepatic delivery of siRNA molecules. Perhaps you could explain the significance of this, please.
Of course. So the field has really matured in recent years through success of delivering siRNA molecules to the liver hepatocytes. The recent approvals that we've seen for siRNA molecules have all been related to liver delivery, really. And certainly the vast majority of the pipeline of siRNA molecules is currently GalNAc conjugated, which achieves specific delivery to the liver hepatocytes. Clearly, that limits the disease areas that you can address with siRNA. And to really take advantage of the potential of siRNA fully, we need to be able to deliver the molecules to other tissue types. And that's exactly what we're trying to do with AstraZeneca. So we're looking to collaborate with them to achieve specific delivery of our molecules to other tissue types, addressing these different therapeutic areas such as cardiovascular disease, renal, respiratory disease. So targeting delivery to the heart, and potentially to the lungs and some other tissue types as well.
And concurrent with the announcement of the AstraZeneca deal, Rob, you also announced the intention to accelerate your development of SLN360. Could you talk a little bit more about the drug and your decision to accelerate its development, please?
Yeah, sure. So SLN360 is targeting a protein called lipoprotein A. And lipoprotein A is really emerging as a risk factor for cardiovascular disease that's independent of typical risk factors. So you can be fat or thin, you can exercise, not exercise, and your risk of cardiovascular disease is determined in some respects by your levels of Lp(a). So people are born with an Lp(a) level, and they hold that Lp(a) level across their life. We have a drug in development. It's just about to enter the clinic. That can, in preclinical models, robustly knock down Lp(a), and importantly, do that over a long duration. So some of the animal models we've used, you've seen a duration of action beyond 2 months. We have another near clinical program in SLN124 for iron overload disorders, such as beta thalassemia and myelodysplastic syndrome. And really all the feedback we were getting from investors, key opinion leaders, and others was that SLN360 is such an exciting asset, and that we felt it was important to prioritize that and to make sure that we were giving that program all the attention that it deserves. So in reality, not too much has changed in terms of SLN124 will progress as planned, and SLN360 will also enter the clinic later this year. But if there is any conflict, it's SLN360 really that we're putting the most emphasis on.
That's great. That's tremendously exciting. And Rob, I'd be remiss. We're obviously recording this at the beginning of April 2020. In the context of a broad market sell-off in the global financial markets, and then just as people are still grappling with what the potential impact of the coronavirus might be, perhaps you could just finish off with what is the perceived impact of the current market conditions, economic conditions on your business, and what steps management is taking to mitigate that impact?
Yeah, so we've taken steps recently to ensure the health and safety of our staff. We do have a skeleton staff operating in our Berlin research facility, although clearly abiding by the government guidelines. But we have largely been able to continue business as usual, in having most of our employees work from home and work remotely. We're I guess in a position where our clinical trials are a few months away from really kicking off in earnest, and we're in the planning phase for those trials, and so less impacted with that right at this moment, and that's probably a good thing for us in relation to some, if you're a late stage developer and you lose 6 months, you lose a lot of value. If you're many years away from bringing your drug to market, then it's probably less impactful. And I think you've seen our share price hold up over the last month or so. We, as I said, later on this year, we hope to have SLN124 and SLN360 in the clinic. Our view internally would be that this will pass in time, and certainly some of the restrictions will start to be eased, and you'll start to see more and more clinical activity resume. So we don't think it's going to impact, certainly, against the guidance that we've issued to the market. And just to repeat that guidance, so we're aiming to have SLN360 data around the middle of 2021. That's first interim data from the phase 1 trial, and SLN124 interim phase 1 data in the first half of 2021. So we don't believe, with those trials really starting in the back half of this year, that they will be materially impacted by COVID-19, although I don't have a crystal ball in that regard.
Sure. Thank you very much. Rob, John, it's been a pleasure to speak with you both. So Silence Therapeutics, impressive momentum in the business, continues to deliver impressive returns to shareholders. If you'd like to learn more about the company, please visit Silence Therapeutics company page on the Edison Group website, where you can access full research and speak to our covering analyst, Dr. Nathaniel Callaway. Thank you very much.